The sandstorm hit without warning. Taemin gripped the steering controls of his rover as wind screamed across the desert wasteland. Sand battered the windshield like bullets. The vehicle shook violently, its engine making sounds that no engine should ever make. Red warning lights flashed across the dashboard. "Come on, not now," Taemin muttered. He was 3 hours away from base camp, 3 hours away from his team, 3 hours away from any help at all. The engine coughed once, twice, then died completely. The rover rolled to a stop at the bottom of a massive dune. Sand began piling against the windows immediately. Taemin checked his communicator, but the storm was jamming all signals. He was alone on a planet that wanted him dead, sitting in a dead vehicle while a storm buried him alive. He had maybe an hour before the rover was completely covered. After that, he would suffocate or cook inside the metal box as temperatures rose. Neither option sounded pleasant. Taemin grabbed his emergency pack and forced the door open against the wind. Sand immediately blasted his face despite the protective mask he wore. He could barely see 3 feet in front of him. The wind tried to knock him down with every step. He needed shelter. Fast. Through the swirling sand, he spotted something. Dark shapes rising from the dune ahead. At first he thought they were rocks, but as he got closer, he realized they were too regular, too purposeful. They were pillars. Stone pillars jutting from the sand at perfect angles. Taemin had been surveying ancient ruins for 5 years across a dozen dead worlds. He knew artificial structures when he saw them. He stumbled toward the pillars, using them as guides. His boots sank deep into the sand with each step. The wind threatened to tear him away, but he pushed forward. Between 2 pillars, he found what he was looking for. A gap in the sand, a shadow that suggested depth, an entrance. Taemin dropped to his knees and started digging with his gloved hands. Sand poured into the hole as fast as he could remove it, but he kept going. His muscles burned. His lungs ached. But finally his hand hit something solid. Stone. A carved stone surface. He dug faster, exposing more of the entrance. It was a doorway, half buried but still accessible. The stone was covered in symbols he had never seen before. They seemed to shimmer even in the dim light of the storm. Taemin squeezed through the opening and tumbled down a stone ramp into darkness. The sound of the storm immediately became muffled, distant. He lay on cold stone, breathing hard, grateful to be alive. After a moment, he pulled out his flashlight and turned it on. The beam of light revealed wonders. He was in a corridor carved from black stone that seemed to absorb light. But running through the stone were veins of crystal that glowed with a faint blue light. The glow pulsed slowly like a heartbeat. The walls were covered in more of those strange symbols, intricate and beautiful. Taemin stood up slowly, his archaeologist instincts overriding his exhaustion. This was incredible. The construction was beyond anything he had seen before. The stone was perfectly smooth, cut with precision that should have been impossible for ancient builders. And those crystals, they were not just decoration. They were technology. They had to be. The corridor sloped downward, leading deeper underground. Taemin knew he should wait. He should mark his location, contact his team when the storm passed, and come back with proper equipment. That was protocol. But he was an archaeologist. And this was the discovery of a lifetime. He walked forward, his flashlight beam dancing across the walls. The corridor opened into a larger chamber. His breath caught in his throat. The chamber was enormous. The ceiling stretched up at least 50 feet, supported by pillars that seemed to defy gravity. They twisted and curved in ways that should have made them collapse, but they held firm. The crystal veins in the walls were thicker here, providing enough light that he could turn off his flashlight. In the center of the chamber was a circular platform, and on that platform were 4 objects that made Taemin's heart race. Sarcophagi. 4 of them made from stone so black it seemed to be a hole in reality. They were arranged in a star pattern, each one pointing toward a cardinal direction. Each sarcophagus was covered in intricate carvings, images of creatures with wings and tails breathing fire and flying through stars. Dragons, they looked like dragons. Taemin approached slowly, his boots echoing in the vast chamber. He had studied hundreds of dead civilizations, but he had never heard of one that worshipped dragons. And these carvings were so detailed, so lifelike. They showed the dragons as warriors, as rulers, as gods. He walked around the first sarcophagus, examining every detail. The craftsmanship was perfect. Not a single tool mark, not a single flaw. The stone seemed to have been shaped by thought rather than tools. On the walls surrounding the platform were more images. They told a story. Dragons building cities that touched the sky. Dragons flying between stars and ships that looked like living creatures. Dragons ruling over countless worlds. And then, something changed. The images showed darkness spreading across the stars. Dragons falling, cities burning, and finally these 4 sarcophagi being placed here, in this temple hidden beneath the sand. A tomb, then. A memorial to fallen leaders. Taemin reached out to touch the closest sarcophagus. His gloved fingers brushed the stone. The entire temple came alive. The crystal veins in the walls flared bright, pulsing with intense light. The platform beneath his feet began to glow. Energy crackled through the air, making his hair stand on end. The symbols on the walls started to move, rearranging themselves into new patterns. No, Taemin stepped back, but it was too late. The 4 sarcophagi began to open. The sound was like mountains breaking, like continents splitting apart. Stone scraped against stone with a deep, grinding noise that Taemin felt in his bones. Frost formed on the outside of the sarcophagi as ancient preservation systems shut down. Steam hissed from the opening seals. Taemin should have run. Every instinct screamed at him to run. But he was frozen in place, watching as the lids of the sarcophagi slowly lifted. From inside the first sarcophagus, a hand emerged. It was humanoid but covered in scales that gleamed like rubies in the crystal light. Claws as long as knives extended from the fingertips. The hand gripped the edge of the sarcophagus and a figure sat up. She was tall, taller than any human. Her body was humanoid in shape but covered in scales of deep crimson and gold. Wings folded against her back stretched out slowly, each one spanning at least 10 feet. A tail, thick and powerful, coiled around her legs. Her face was beautiful but alien, with sharp features and eyes that glowed like molten gold. The other 3 sarcophagi opened. 3 more figures sat up, each one different. Silver blue scales, emerald green scales, obsidian black with violet accents. All of them female. All of them beautiful. All of them terrifying. 4 pairs of glowing eyes turned toward Taemin. He could not move, could not breathe, could not think. The first one, the Crimson Dragon woman, spoke. Her mouth moved, but the words that entered Taemin's mind were not sounds. They appeared directly in his thoughts, translating themselves into meaning. At last, a warm blood awakens us. Taemin's legs gave out and he fell to his knees, staring up at the 4 dragon women who had just awakened from 10,000 years of sleep. The storm outside was the least of his problems now. The 4 dragon women rose from their ancient beds with movements that were both graceful and deadly. Their scales caught the crystal light, making them look like living jewels. Wings stretched and folded with sounds like leather snapping. Tails moved behind them like serpents, powerful enough to crush stone. Taemin remained on his knees, his mind struggling to process what he was seeing. These were not statues, not holograms. They were real, living beings who had been asleep for longer than human civilization had existed. The Crimson one stepped down from the platform first. She was at least 8 feet tall, her presence filling the chamber. Her golden eyes fixed on Taemin with an intensity that made him feel like prey before a predator. She moved closer, each step deliberate, until she stood directly in front of him. You are small, she said, her voice appearing in his mind with the weight of authority. Fragile, soft. What manner of creature are you? Taemin tried to speak, but his throat was too dry. He swallowed hard and tried again. Human, I'm human. My name is Taemin. Human. The word seemed to puzzle her. She tilted her head, studying him. I do not know this species. Are you native to this world? No. My people came from Earth, were explorers, archaeologists. I was surveying ancient ruins when the storm hit. I found this temple by accident. The silver-blue dragon woman stepped forward, her movements fluid and curious. Where the crimson one radiated aggression, this one seemed analytical. Her scales shimmered like moonlight on water. Earth. I do not recognize that world. How far have we slept? Show me a star chart. Taemin fumbled with his datapad, his hands shaking. He pulled up the standard galactic map used by human explorers. The silver-blue woman took the device from his hands with surprising gentleness, her clawed fingers manipulating the screen with ease despite their size. Her eyes widened. The glow in them flickered with something that looked like shock. This cannot be right. These constellations, they have shifted. The stars have aged. Yuna, look at this. She handed the datapad to the emerald green dragon woman. Yuna, so that was her name. The silver-blue one was Yuna. The emerald woman, the one called Yuna, examined the datapad. Her expression softened into something sad. 10,000 years. Perhaps more. We have slept for 10,000 years, Hana. Hana. The Crimson One was Hana. 10,000 years, Hana repeated, her voice flat. The Great Sleep was meant to last a century at most. What happened? Why did no one wake us? The fourth dragon woman, the one with obsidian black and violet scales, hopped down from her sarcophagus with surprising energy. She was slightly smaller than the others, perhaps only 7 feet tall, and moved with the excitement of someone much younger. Because we're the only ones left, obviously. Look at this place. Look at the dust. Nobody has been here in forever. Bora, silence, Hana snapped. We do not know that. But Bora ignored her, moving closer to Tai Min with open curiosity. She circled him like he was an interesting toy. I like him. He's tiny and cute. Look at his clothes. What are these made of? And this device? She plucked the datapad from Yuna's hands. It's so primitive but functional. How clever. Tai Min found his voice again. Please, I need to understand. Who are you? What is this place? The emerald woman, the quiet one who had not yet spoken, stepped forward. Her scales were the color of deep forests and her eyes were gentler than the others. When she looked at Tai Min, he felt something warm in his chest. A sense of calm. I am Mirai. I am a healer and an empath. I can sense your emotions, Tai Min of Earth. You are terrified, but you are also honest. You mean us no harm. Of course he doesn't, Bora said cheerfully. He's too small to harm anything. I could break him with one hand. Bora! Mirai's voice carried a sharp edge. What? It's true. Hana raised her hand and both Bora and Mirai fell silent. The authority in that gesture was absolute. We are Ryujin, warriors of the Ryujin Empire. We were generals, leaders of the greatest civilization this galaxy has ever known. We entered the Great Sleep when our empire fell into chaos, intending to wake when our people needed us again. She looked at Tai Min with hard eyes. Where are our people, human? Where is the Ryujin Empire? This was the moment Tai Min had been dreading. He took a deep breath. I've never heard of the Ryujin Empire. I've studied ancient civilizations my entire adult life, and I've never found any reference to your people. In human records, there's nothing. No stories, no ruins labeled as Ryujin, no evidence that your empire ever existed. The silence that followed was crushing. Hana's eyes blazed brighter. Lies. Our empire spanned 500 worlds. We ruled the stars for 3,000 years. Billions of our people lived across this galaxy. You cannot tell me they simply vanished. I'm sorry, Tai Min said quietly, but I'm telling you the truth. Whatever happened to your people, it happened long before humans ever reached the stars. Yuna placed a hand on Hana's shoulder. The mathematics support his claim. If 10,000 years have truly passed, if our people fell after we entered stasis, there would be little evidence remaining. Civilizations fade. Even the greatest empires become dust. No. Hana's voice was sharp as broken glass. No, I refuse to believe our entire species is gone. They are out there. They must be. She turned to Tai Min, and for the first time he saw something other than aggression in her eyes. He saw fear. Your people. These humans. Where do they live? What worlds have they claimed? Tai Min pulled up another map showing human colonial space. It was a modest area compared to what the Ryujin Empire must have been, but humanity had spread to nearly 200 worlds. Hana stared at the map. Her clawed hand tightened into a fist. These coordinates. This sector. That was Ryujin space. Those were our worlds. I didn't know, Tai Min said quickly. We found them empty, dead. We thought they were simply habitable planets that never developed complex life. Empty. Hana's voice broke on the word. Our homeworld. Our colonies. All empty. Mirai moved to Hana's side, placing a gentle hand on the warrior's arm. Sister, your grief is natural, but anger at this human will not change what has happened. Hana pulled away from Mirai's touch. She turned her back on all of them, her wings folding tight against her body. Leave me. Bora bounced over to Tai Min again, her mood seemingly unaffected by the heavy emotions in the room. So human, tell me about your species. What do you do for fun? Do you have good food? Can you fly? Oh wait, you don't have wings. That must be sad. Bora, Yuna said gently. Perhaps give him space. This must be overwhelming for him. It is, Tai Min admitted. But I want to help. I want to understand. Your language, how am I understanding it? How are we communicating? Mirai smiled. It transformed her face, making her look less alien and more approachable. We speak directly to the mind. Thoughts rather than words. It is a gift all Ryujin possess. We can communicate with any sentient being this way. That's incredible, Taimin said. My people would love to study that, if you would allow it. The temperature in the room dropped suddenly. Hana spun around, energy crackling around her hands. Study us? Like specimens? Like curiosities for your primitive science? No. Taimin stood up, forcing himself to meet her burning gaze. Not as specimens. As allies, as teachers. You have knowledge that was lost thousands of years ago. You could teach us so much. And maybe together we could find out what happened to your people. I promise you, if there are other Ryujin out there, we will find them. Why would you help us? Hana demanded. What do you gain? Understanding, Taimin said simply. And maybe friendship. The word seemed to surprise all of them. The temple suddenly shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. A deep grinding sound echoed through the chamber. Taimin knew that sound. Structural collapse. The storm, he said urgently. The vibrations must have destabilized the temple. We need to leave now. Another shake, more violent than the first. One of the pillars cracked. The crystal veins in the walls flickered and dimmed. Can you fly in this? Taimin asked. Our wings have not been used in 10,000 years, Yuna said. We would need time to recover our full strength. Then we run. Taimin grabbed his pack and started toward the corridor he had entered through. Follow me. Stay close. To his surprise, they did. The 4 dragon women followed the tiny human through the collapsing temple, their ancient home crumbling around them. And somehow, in that moment of crisis, something shifted between them. A fragile bond formed, born from necessity and the simple act of running together toward survival. They burst from the temple entrance into blinding sunlight. The storm had passed, leaving behind a desert transformed by fresh dunes. Taimin shielded his eyes, searching for any sign of his rover or rescue team. Behind him, the 4 dragon women emerged into daylight for the first time in 10,000 years. Hana spread her wings fully, the crimson membranes catching the light like stained glass. Yuna tilted her face toward the sun, silver scales gleaming. Mirai took a deep breath of fresh air, smiling. Bora immediately started examining everything, picking up rocks and discarding them, fascinated by the simple act of being outside. Your people, Hana said. Where are they? Taimin pulled out his communicator. The storm had cleared enough for a signal to get through. Base camp, this is Taimin. I survived the storm. I found something incredible. I need immediate pickup at my last known coordinates. Static crackled. Then a familiar voice came through. Taimin? Thank the stars. We thought you were dead. We're already on the way. ETA 20 minutes, relief flooded through him. Copy that. But listen, when you get here, don't be alarmed by what you see. I'm not alone. Not alone? Did you find survivors from another expedition? Something like that. Just trust me, and come ready for first contact protocols. First contact? Taimin, what exactly did you find? Before he could answer, Bora snatched the communicator from his hand. She held it up to her face, studying it. Hello? Hello, tiny human voice in the box? This is amazing. How do you fit inside here? Bora, that's not how it works, Taimin said, trying to take the device back. She held it above her head, just out of his reach, grinning. Give it back, Hana ordered. Bora pouted but handed it over. You're no fun. Yuna was scanning the horizon with sharp eyes. Ships approaching. Multiple signatures. Some match the description of human vessels from your datapad, but others do not. Taimin felt a chill. Others? What kind of others? Unknown configuration. Heavily armed. They are moving fast. Yuna's expression darkened. They detected the temple's energy signature when it activated. They are not here for peaceful contact. 3 vessels appeared over the dunes. 2 were human rescue shuttles, small and unarmed. The third was a predator, a gunship, sleek and black, bristling with weapons. It bore no markings, no identification. A mercenary ship. The gunship opened fire without warning. Plasma bolts screamed across the desert, tearing into the sand around them. One of the human shuttles exploded in a ball of fire. The other veered away, trying to escape, but the gunship was faster. It locked on and fired again. No, Taimin screamed. Hana moved faster than thought. She launched herself into the air, wings spreading wide, accelerating with impossible speed. She caught the plasma bolt meant for the second shuttle with her bare hands. absorbing the energy into her scales. Her body glowed red-hot for a moment. Then she redirected the energy back at the gunship in a focused beam of pure destruction. The beam punched through the gunship's shields and hull like paper. The vessel spiraled down, trailing smoke, and crashed into a dune. But it was not alone. More ships appeared. A dozen, then 2 dozen. All mercenary vessels, all armed, all converging on their position. Figures began dropping from the ships, soldiers in combat armor carrying weapons designed to kill. "Protective circle," Hana commanded, landing hard beside Taimin. The other 3 dragon women immediately moved into formation, placing Taimin in the center. "Stay behind us, human." "You don't understand," Taimin said urgently. "Those weapons can punch through reinforced steel. You might be tough, but you're not invincible." Mireille looked back at him, her green eyes warm. "We know, but we protect what is ours now. You woke us. That makes you our responsibility." The first wave of soldiers opened fire. Energy weapons lit up the desert. Plasma bolts, laser beams, and projectile rounds filled the air. The dragon women moved as one, a coordinated defense born from thousands of years of combat experience. Yuna raised her hands, and a barrier of shimmering energy appeared around them. Weapons fire splashed against it like water against stone. "This will not hold forever," she said calmly. "Hana, we need to eliminate the threat quickly." "Agreed." Hana stepped through the barrier as if it did not exist. She walked toward the advancing soldiers with measured steps, her tail swinging behind her. 20 soldiers focused fire on her. Plasma bolts struck her scales, and she did not even slow down. One soldier fired a rocket directly at her chest. The explosion engulfed her in smoke and fire. The soldiers cheered. They stopped firing, certain their target was eliminated. Hana walked out of the smoke, completely unharmed. Her scales glowed like molten metal. She smiled, and it was not a kind expression. "My turn." She opened her mouth, and fire poured out. Not the natural fire of combustion, but plasma, hotter than the surface of a star. It swept across the battlefield in a controlled arc, turning sand to glass and melting weapons before their wielders could scream. She did not kill them, not quite. The soldiers dropped their ruined weapons and ran, fleeing in terror. 3 assault vehicles rolled over the dunes, their cannons tracking Hana. They fired in unison. Heavy shells that could destroy bunkers. Bora laughed. She leapt forward, her black and violet scales making her a dark blur. She hit the first vehicle like a missile, her fist punching through the armor plating. She tore the cannon off and used it like a club to smash the second vehicle. The third tried to reverse, but she grabbed it by the front end and flipped it over her head. It crashed down on its top, wheels spinning uselessly. "Too easy," Bora shouted, grinning wildly. "Is that all you have?" More ships landed, larger ones this time, deploying heavier troops with powered armor and shield generators. They set up defensive positions and called in coordinates for orbital strikes. Mireille closed her eyes, extending her hands. Energy flowed from her in waves, visible as green light that washed over the battlefield. Where it touched the soldiers, their aggression faded. Their fear grew. They began to retreat, abandoning their weapons, overwhelmed by emotions they could not control. "Empathic manipulation," Yuna explained to Taimin. "She cannot directly harm, but she can make them choose to stop fighting." A shot rang out different from the others, a specialized weapon designed for piercing heavy armor. The round struck Yuna in the shoulder, punching through her scales and embedding itself in muscle. She gasped, her barrier flickering. "Yuna!" Taimin ran to her without thinking. He caught her as she stumbled, his hands coming away stained with blood that glowed faintly silver. "You're hurt." "I will heal," she said, but her voice was strained. "My people are very difficult to kill." "Not on my watch." Taimin pulled medical supplies from his pack. Human medical supplies designed for human injuries, but he worked with what he had. He applied pressure to the wound, injected coagulants, and wrapped it with synthetic bandages. Yuna watched him work with curiosity. "You risk yourself to aid me? We have known each other for less than an hour." "That doesn't matter," Taimin said. "You saved my life. You protected my people. I'm not letting you bleed out in the sand." Something shifted in Yuna's expression, a warmth that had not been there before. "You are a strange creature, Taimin of Earth. But I think I am beginning to understand why your species has survived." The commanding officer of the mercenary force stepped forward. He was not human. Not Ryujin either. Something else, a species Taimin did not recognize. Tall and thin, with gray skin and too many joints in his limbs. He carried no weapon but radiated authority. "Ryujin," the alien said, his voice amplified by speakers in his armor. "You will surrender yourselves to the Obsidian Collective. You are valuable assets. Resist and we will level this entire area." Hana turned to face him, her eyes blazing. "I am Hana, first general of the Ryujin Imperial Guard. I have burned worlds that defied me. I have led fleets that numbered in the thousands. And you think I will surrender to mercenary filth?" She took a step forward. "Leave now and I will let you live." The alien commander made a gesture. A massive cannon emerged from the largest ship, charging with energy that made the air shimmer. "You were given a chance," the cannon fired. Taman closed his eyes, certain this was the end. When he opened them, all 4 dragon women stood together in front of the group, their hands joined, energy flowing between them. The cannon blast struck a barrier of combined power and simply stopped, frozen in the air, held by their will. Together, the 4 of them pushed. The energy reversed, flowing back toward the ship. The cannon exploded, then the ship itself erupted in flames. The remaining mercenaries broke and ran. Their commander screamed orders, but nobody listened. Within minutes, the battlefield was empty except for abandoned equipment and terrified soldiers fleeing across the dunes. The surviving human shuttle landed cautiously nearby. The pilot, a woman named Unji, emerged with her hands raised. "Taman, are you okay? What in the hell just happened?" "First contact," Taman said weakly. "Unji, meet the Ryujin. Hana, Yuna, Mirai, and Bora. They're ancient warriors who have been asleep for 10,000 years, and apparently somebody really wants to capture them." Hana looked at the burning ships, then at Taimin. "This Obsidian Collective. They knew we were here. They were waiting. Someone told them. We need to leave," Yuna said, still holding her injured shoulder. "Now, before they send reinforcements." "Agreed." Taman helped Yuna toward the shuttle. "Yunji, we need to commandeer one of those mercenary ships. The shuttle won't fit everyone." Bora was already running toward the closest intact ship. "I call pilot." "You don't know how to fly it," Hana called after her. "I'll figure it out." As they boarded the captured ship and prepared to leave the planet, Taman looked at the 4 dragon women who had just destroyed a mercenary army to protect him. These ancient warriors, these living legends, had chosen to keep him safe, and in doing so, they had painted targets on all their backs. The adventure had only just begun. The captured mercenary ship, which Bora had named Flying Claw despite everyone's protests, limped through space toward the research station. Sparks occasionally flew from damaged panels, and the navigation system complained constantly, but it flew. Barely. Taman sat in the co-pilot seat, watching Bora enthusiastically push buttons to see what they did. Behind them, in the cargo bay that now served as living quarters, Yuna rested while Mirai tended her wound. Hana stood guard at the airlock, her wings folded tight, her expression unreadable. "You seem stressed," Bora said cheerfully, noticing Taimin's tight grip on the armrest. "Why? We're winning. We destroyed a mercenary force, but we don't know why they attacked. We don't know who sent them. And we're flying a stolen ship to a secret research station. If I seem stressed, it's because I am." "Humans worry too much," Bora said, but her tone was fond rather than mocking. She reached over and patted his head with surprising gentleness. "Don't worry. We'll protect you. I'm not worried about me. I'm worried about you. All of you." That seemed to surprise her. "Why? Because you just woke up? Because your entire civilization is gone. Because people are already hunting you. And because I'm the one who woke you up, which means everything that happens to you is my fault." Bora tilted her head, studying him. "You think you're responsible for us?" "I am responsible. I activated the temple and gave us a second chance," Bora said softly. "We were asleep, Taman. We would have slept forever if you hadn't found us. Yes, the galaxy we wake to is empty of our people. Yes, we are hunted. But we are alive. That is not a burden you carry. That is a gift you gave us." Taman did not know what to say to that. The research station appeared ahead, a small orbital platform hidden among the asteroids. Taman sent the authentication codes and the docking bay opened. They landed with only minor scraping sounds that made the mechanics wince. Daewon was waiting for them. He was an older man, gray-haired and carrying extra weight, but his eyes were sharp as knives. He had been Taiman's professor, his mentor, and one of the few people in the galaxy who understood his obsession with ancient civilizations. Then Daewon saw the 4 dragon women emerge from the ship. and his expression transformed into pure wonder. "By all the stars," he whispered. "Taemin, what have you found?" "Long story. We need your help, and we need your databases. Everything you have on precursor civilizations." Day one led them to his research lab, a cluttered space filled with artifacts, star charts, and holographic displays. The dragon women looked around with interest, recognizing some items, puzzled by others. "These symbols," Yuna said, pointing at a projection. "I know these. They are Ryujin script. Where did you find them?" "A dead world in the outer rim," Daewon said. "We found fragments of what might have been a city. Everything was melted, fused by incredible heat. We could never date it accurately, but our estimates suggested 10 to 12,000 years old." He looked at her with barely contained excitement. "You can read it?" "Of course. It says, 'Here stood the children of fire and sky. Here we made our final stand. Here we fell.'" Yuna's voice was hollow. "It's a memorial." For the next several hours they worked together. Daewon pulled up every scrap of data humanity had collected on ancient ruins that might be Ryujin. Yuna cross-referenced them with recovered data from the temple. Slowly, painfully, a picture emerged. The Ryujin Empire had been vast. 500 worlds, just as Hana said. Trillions of citizens. Technology so advanced it seemed like magic. They had ruled for 3,000 years, not through conquest, but through strength. Other species feared them, respected them, or both. Then something changed. The data showed coordinated strikes across the entire empire within a span of days. Cities destroyed, fleets eliminated, colonies burned. The Ryujin fought back, but they were overwhelmed. Within a year, 99% of the species was dead. "What could do this?" Hana demanded, her fist clenched. "What weapon could destroy an entire civilization so quickly?" Yuna's fingers flew over the controls, pulling up more data. Not a weapon. An intelligence. "Look at the attack patterns. They're too coordinated, too perfect. Every strike hit at exactly the right moment to cause maximum damage. No organic commander could manage this across hundreds of light years." "An artificial intelligence," Daewon said quietly. "We found references to something like this before. Ancient warnings in ruins across the galaxy. They called it the Null Mind." The temperature in the room dropped. All 4 dragon women went very still. "You know of it," Taemin said. Mirai spoke, her voice shaking. "The Null Mind was a weapon created by the Thraxian Empire. They feared us, hated us. They built an intelligence designed to do one thing: eliminate every Ryujin in the galaxy. We thought we had destroyed it before it could fully activate. We were wrong. The Null Mind succeeded," Yuna said bitterly. "It wiped out our people while we slept safe in our hidden temple. It completed its mission." "Not quite." Daewon pulled up another display. "This is the concerning part. We've detected strange signals across the galaxy, dormant systems activating briefly, then going silent. Satellite networks from dead civilizations coming online for seconds at a time. We thought it was just old technology malfunctioning. But if the Null Mind was distributed across multiple systems, if it never truly shut down, it's still out there," Taemin finished. "Waiting. But waiting for what?" Hana asked. "We are the last Ryujin. 4 warriors. Hardly a threat worth destroying." Bora had been quiet, unusually so. Now she spoke up, her voice small. "Maybe it doesn't care about threats. Maybe it just completes its mission. If it detects us, it will try to finish what it started. Then we destroy it first," Hana said immediately. "We hunt down every satellite, every server, every fragment of this intelligence and burn it from existence." "We don't have the resources," Yuna said gently. "We are 4 against a distributed intelligence that spans the galaxy. We would need an army." "Then we build one," Hana insisted. "How?" Mirai asked. "Our people are gone. We have no ships, no weapons, no allies." "We have humans," Bora said, looking at Taemin. "They woke us. They helped us. Maybe they'll help us again." All eyes turned to Taemin and Daewon. "I can bring this to the human government," Daewon said slowly. "But I won't lie to you. They'll be afraid. 4 alien warriors who can destroy armies show up asking for help to fight an AI from their nightmares. Some will want to help. Others will want to lock you away and study you. Then we convince them," Taemin said. "We show them that the Null Mind is everyone's problem. If it wiped out the Ryujin, what's to stop it from deciding humanity is next? Or any other species?" "The warm blood speaks wisdom," Mirai said, and when she smiled at him, Taemin felt his face heat up. Hana crossed her arms. "I do not like relying on others. We are warriors. We should stand alone. Standing alone is what got the Ryujin killed, Yuna said bluntly. We were arrogant. We thought we needed no allies. Look where that led us. Maybe Taemin and his people can teach us something. Strength in unity rather than domination. Fine, Hana said. We will try it your way. But if your government betrays us, human, I will hold you responsible. Fair enough, Taemin said. They worked through the night preparing a presentation for the Human Colonial Council. Daewon would present the historical evidence. Yuna would explain the null mind's nature, and Taemin would advocate for alliance. During a break, Taemin found Mirai standing by a window looking out at the stars. Couldn't sleep, he asked. I do not need much sleep, and I am troubled. She turned to him, her green eyes reflecting starlight. I can sense your emotions, Taemin. You carry great guilt. You blame yourself for what has happened to us. I woke you into a dead galaxy. Your people are gone because I touched a stone. No. My people are gone because the null mind killed them while we hid. We failed to protect them. That is our burden, not yours. She reached out and placed a clawed hand gently on his shoulder. But you gave us a chance to find purpose again, to matter. I sense in you a rare quality, the ability to see worth in others even when they are different from you. Even when they are dangerous. You're not dangerous. Well, you are, but not to me. Mirai laughed, a sound like wind chimes. You truly believe that? How strange. How wonderful. She leaned down, her face close to his. Thank you, Taemin, for seeing us as more than monsters or relics, for seeing us as people. Before he could respond, alarms blared throughout the station. They ran to the command center. Daewon was at the controls, his face pale. We have incoming ships. Multiple signatures. They're not mercenaries this time. These are military vessels, and they're broadcasting Obsidian collective identification codes. How did they find us? Taemin demanded. They tracked us, Yuna said, pulling up the sensor data. Our captured ship had a hidden beacon. They let us escape so they could follow us to exactly this kind of facility. They want our research. They want everything we know. We fight, Hana said immediately, moving toward the airlock. No, Taemin said. You can't fight a fleet. We need to evacuate, save the data and run. And leave your mentor to die? Hana challenged. I'm already gone, Daewon said, starting a data transfer to portable drives. I've lived a long life. You five represent something more important. Get out of here. The station shook as the first shot hit the shields. Taemin grabbed the data drives as they finished copying. Mirai grabbed him. We're not leaving him. I'm ordering you to, Daewon said. Taemin, protect them. Show the galaxy that humans and Ryujin can stand together. That's worth more than one old man's life. Another impact, stronger this time. The shields were failing. Hana made a decision. She grabbed Taemin with one arm and Daewon with the other. Everyone to the ship. Now, they ran. The station was coming apart around them, bulkhead sealing, atmosphere venting. They reached the ship and launched as the docking bay exploded behind them. Bora pushed the engines past safety limits and they shot away from the dying station. Behind them, the research station became a ball of fire. They had escaped with their lives and the data. But Taemin had lost his mentor, his friend. And the Obsidian Collective now knew exactly what they were looking for. The hunt had truly begun. The coordinates came 3 days later, broadcast on an encrypted channel that only Taemin would recognize. The message was simple. We have your human. Come alone to these coordinates within 24 hours or he dies slowly. They had been hiding in an abandoned mining facility, licking their wounds and planning their next move. Daewon had survived the station's destruction, but the Obsidian Collective had captured him during the evacuation. Taemin blamed himself. He should have moved faster, been smarter, protected his mentor better. It's a trap, Hana said, studying the coordinates. They want us to come. They want to capture all of us, obviously, Yuna agreed. The question is whether we spring the trap anyway. There is no question, Mirai said quietly. Daewon saved us. He bought us time to escape. We owe him a debt, and more importantly, Taemin cares for him deeply. I can feel his pain from across the room. Bora was sitting next to Taemin, her tail curled protectively around his shoulders. We're going, right? We're going to rescue him? We don't leave people behind. We, Hana repeated, looking at Taemin. When did you become part of our unit, human? Taemin met her gaze without flinching. When I woke you, when you protected me, when Yuna took a bullet meant for me, when Mirai healed my cuts. when Bora made me laugh even when everything seemed hopeless. You're not my unit. You're my family, and family doesn't abandon each other. Something shifted in Hana's expression. The hard edges softened just slightly. Family. I had forgotten that word meant anything. She stood up, rolling her shoulders, wings rustling. Then we go. We rescue the old human, and we destroy anyone who stands in our way. They'll be ready for us, Yuna warned. They know what we can do now. They'll have counters prepared, weapons designed to penetrate our scales, energy dampeners to neutralize our powers. Good, Hana said with a predatory smile. I prefer a challenge. They approached the coordinates carefully. It was a massive carrier ship hidden in a nebula's edge. The vessel was 3 kilometers long, bristling with weapons and surrounded by fighter escort. Getting inside would be impossible, unless you had 4 dragon warriors who did not care about impossible. Remember the plan, Yuna said as they approached in their small ship, cloaked and running silent. Bora and I create the distraction. Hana and Mirai extract Daewon. Taemin stays with the ship. No, Taemin said. I'm going in with you. You'll die, Hana said bluntly. You're fragile. You cannot fight like we can. I don't need to fight. I need to disable their systems. I'm an engineer and a hacker. I can shut down their internal defenses, their door locks, their communications. You need me in there. The 4 dragon women exchanged glances. Some silent communication passed between them. Finally, Hana nodded. Fine, but you stay behind me at all times. If you die, I will be very annoyed. I'll do my best not to inconvenience you, Taemin said dryly. They launched from the ship in hard vacuum. The dragon women did not need spacesuits. Their scales sealed perfectly and they could hold their breath for over an hour. Taemin wore a compact vac suit that made him feel like a child playing dress-up next to these titans. Bora and Yuna peeled off, flying toward the carrier's main engines. Hana grabbed Taemin and carried him toward an auxiliary airlock. Mirai flew alongside them, her green scales nearly invisible against the nebula's glow. Explosions bloomed on the far side of the carrier as Bora and Yuna began their assault. Alarms blared. Fighter craft launched in swarms, exactly as planned. Hana tore the airlock door off its hinges with her bare hands. They entered through the breach and Taemin immediately went to the wall panel. His fingers flew over the interface, uploading a virus he had written during their planning. The virus spread through the ship's systems like wildfire, locking doors behind them and opening doors ahead, creating a path directly to the brig. Clever, Hana admitted, watching security doors seal behind them, trapping pursuing soldiers. Your people compensate for weakness with intelligence. It's admirable. They fought their way deeper into the ship. Soldiers appeared at every junction, but Hana was a force of nature. She moved through them like a dancer, each motion precise and devastating. Mirai used her empathic powers to sow confusion and fear, making enemies hesitate at critical moments. Taemin stayed behind Hana, occasionally shooting with a plasma pistol he barely knew how to use, mostly just trying not to die. They reached the brig. Inside, Daewon was strapped to a chair, bruised but alive. He looked up as they entered and smiled weakly. Took you long enough. You're welcome, Hana said, tearing his restraints apart. We need to move, Taemin said, helping his mentor stand. The virus won't hold them forever. They ran back toward the airlock, but the collective had rallied. Soldiers in heavy armor blocked their path, carrying weapons that glowed with dangerous energy, anti-Ryujin weapons, specifically designed for this moment. Hana pushed Taemin and Daewon behind her. Stay back. The soldiers opened fire. The weapons were different, their energy specifically tuned to bypass Ryujin scales. Hana roared as a bolt struck her shoulder, actually penetrating. Mirai took a hit to her leg and stumbled. No. Taemin threw himself forward, dragging both of them behind cover. You're hurt. Let me think. There's no time for thinking, Hana snarled, preparing to charge despite her wound. We fight. Wait. Taemin was staring at the soldiers' weapons, at their power cells, at the way they glowed. An idea formed, crazy and desperate. Hana, can you absorb energy? You did it during the battle on the planet. Yes, what of it? Do it now. Absorb as much as you can. Yuna, can you project barriers? Through the communicator, Yuna's voice came back. Yes, why? I need you to create a barrier around those soldiers. A sphere, totally sealed. Bora, can you generate electromagnetic pulses? Of course. It's fun. Taemin's hands flew over his datapad, calculating, hoping this would work. On my mark, everyone does their part at once. Yuna, seal them in. Bora, hit the sphere with everything you have. Hana, absorb the reflected energy. 3, 2, 1, now. Yuna's barrier snapped into place around the soldiers. Bora's electromagnetic pulse hit it like a hammer. The energy bounced inside the sphere, amplifying, reflecting, building. The soldiers' weapons overloaded. Their armor fried. They collapsed, unconscious but alive. The barrier dropped. The corridor was clear. Hana stared at Taemin with something like awe. You weaponized our abilities in seconds. How? I'm an engineer. I solve problems. Now can we please leave before more soldiers show up? They made it back to the airlock, but their escape was cut short. The carrier's commander appeared on every screen, his gray face twisted with rage. You cannot escape. I have already activated the nullmind fragment we recovered. It is searching for your signatures. In moments it will find you, and then you will understand what true fear means. The lights flickered. A presence filled the ship, vast and cold and utterly inhuman. The nullmind had awakened. Run, Yuna said urgently through the communicator. The fragment is small, but it's powerful. It will turn every system in this ship against us. They ran, but the ship itself fought them. Doors sealed. Gravity reversed. Atmosphere vented from compartments. The nullmind was learning their tactics, adapting in real time. It was everything Daewon had feared and more. Taemin's virus was being systematically purged. They were trapped in a dying ship with an intelligence that wanted them dead. There, Mirai said, pointing at an access panel. The ship's quantum computer core. That's where the fragment is housed. I can't destroy it, Hana said. It's too well protected. The moment I try, it will kill everyone on this ship, including the crew. You don't need to destroy it, Taemin said, pulling out his datapad. Human encryption technology. It's not elegant, but it's effective. If I can get close enough, I can flood the core with quantum noise. It will disrupt the nullmind's ability to maintain coherent thought. And if it doesn't work? Daewon asked. Then we all die, Taemin said simply. But at least we die together. The 4 dragon women looked at each other. Then as one, they nodded. They fought their way to the core. Every step was agony. The ship threw everything at them. Weapons, soldiers, environmental hazards. Mirai took a hit that nearly killed her. Hana carried her, refusing to leave her behind. Daewon was limping badly. Taemin had burns across his arms from superheated steam. But they reached the core. Taemin plugged in his datapad, his fingers shaking. The nullmind recognized the threat and fought back, trying to fry his device. But the dragon women surrounded him, channeling their energy into a protective field. Yuna's barriers, Mirai's healing, Bora's electromagnetic interference, Hana's raw power, 5 beings working as one. The quantum noise flooded the core. The nullmind screamed, a sound that existed only in their minds. It writhed, trying to adapt, but human encryption was too chaotic, too random. It could not predict it, could not counter it. The fragment shattered. Its consciousness scattered beyond recovery. The ship went dark. Emergency lighting kicked in. They had won. They limped back to their ship and escaped as the carrier drifted dead in space. Behind them, rescue ships arrived to save the crew. The collective had been dealt a devastating blow. Weeks later, they stood before the Human Colonial Council. Taemin presented their findings. The nullmind threat was real, but it could be defeated with cooperation. Humanity and the 4 remaining Ryujin could work together to dismantle the ancient AI's networks across the galaxy. The council voted to grant the dragon women asylum and support their mission. Months passed. Taemin recovered from his injuries, though scars remained. The 4 dragon women stayed close, forming a family unit that confused and fascinated human society. They were warriors, yes, but they were also teachers, sharing knowledge that humanity had never dreamed of. And they loved their human. It was not romantic love, not exactly. It was something deeper. Hana respected him as a warrior equal. Yuna valued his mind. Mirai cherished his empathy. Bora adored his spirit. Together they formed something new, something that transcended species. One evening, standing on the bridge of their new ship, looking out at the stars, Hana placed a clawed hand on Taemin's shoulder. You awakened us, warm blood. You gave us purpose in a dead galaxy. You showed us that strength comes not just from power, but from bonds. From family. Taemin smiled. I thought I was just exploring an old temple. Instead, I found people worth fighting for. And we found, Yuna said, a human worth following. Together, Mirai added, we will ensure neither of our species faces extinction alone. Plus, Bora said, grinning. It's way more fun with you around. Deep in uncharted space, sensors detected another temple beneath the ice of a frozen moon. Inside, more Ryujin waited in stasis. The search had only just begun. But now they searched as family. Human and dragon, warm blood and warrior, different but united, and in a galaxy that had nearly destroyed them both. That unity would prove to be the strongest weapon of all.